How's it going, folks? So, oftentimes when I get into discussion, and namely on the gun debate, but it happens in other discussions too, people will cite experts or studies or things of that nature and then act as if they've won, and then act as if I'm just denying reality for basically denying the credibility of said expert or study. And I want to demonstrate to you why these experts and studies should not just be simply taken as if there's some sort of serious evidence. And I'm going to refrain from using air quotes in this video, as you can already tell. Just know that when I say certain things, I'm using these air quotes at heart. And you can pretty well use your imagination to figure out where precisely I'm using these air quotes. So, what I'm going to be discussing is labeled Exhibit O in a specific case in Colorado, I believe it is, challenging a certain city's assault weapons ban. And Exhibit O is the expert testimony of a guy by the name of James, and his last name begins with Y, and I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. But James is a former ATF agent and is, from what I understand, being paid $400 an hour for this. And this is taxpayer money, by the way, going for this quote expert testimony. Well, I'm not going to cover everything in this expert testimony. It's 90 pages, I believe, of stupidity and things that are not true, even though he's stated these things under oath. But we'll get into this and I'll demonstrate certain things and then let you guys decide, is he really telling the truth or not? But I want to thank the FPC for bringing this particular little bit of testimony to my attention. But basically, the part of this testimony I kind of want to address is the claim that these assault weapons are just too complicated for the average civilian to use in self defense, and instead they should use a pump action shotgun chambered in 12 gauge if they want something for self defense. Well, to demonstrate against what James here is saying, I'm going to show you some of the basic manuals of arms for these firearms, and then I'm going to let you be the judge on if these claims are true or not. Well, let's start off with the AR-15. Now, I know this is not your typical AR-15. This has a few additional controls on it that an AR-15 that you would get for a lot cheaper doesn't have. So, with this being said, if somebody wants me to explain why I like these additional controls on here, um, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I may just do something explaining why I like what the additional furniture here on this rifle is and why I like it. But we're going to stick to some of the basic manuals of arms for AR-15 and the pump action shotgun in this one. So that's what we're going to stick with. So obviously, you take your AR-15, and the very first thing you should do with any firearm is check to see whether or not it's loaded. Now, the AR-15, it's real simple. What we're going to do is to press the slide lock. You can do it other ways. I'm just showing a way. Then you pull the charging handle back to the rear, and then put the charging handle back in place while the slide lock is depressed. You will then visually inspect the chamber, make sure it's clear. As we can tell, the rifle is clear. Now, to load the rifle from this position, all we need to do is take a loaded magazine, or in this case, we're going to take an empty magazine, and we're going to load our dummy round in this particular case, because I don't have to actually use a live round. We'll load the magazine, and it's really that simple. Now you can load it to the full capacity. In this magazine's case, 30 rounds, although you don't have to load a full 30 rounds. You can load 20, you can load 10, you can load even one if that's what you choose to do. In this case, we're just going to load one. You would insert the magazine like so, and then just depress the slide release. And the dummy round is now in battery. Or if you were using live rounds, the live round would be in battery. It'd be ready to go. Another thing he talked about was the selector lever. I don't know how this is complex. It's on semi or fire right now. Safe, semi, safe, semi, safe, fire. I mean, that's it. Now, unloading. This is also very simple. What we will do is we will take the magazine release, like so. We will press the button, we will release the magazine. Um, Now, if you want to lock the bolt to the rear on this one, you can. Or what you can also do is cover the ejection port, charge the charging handle back to the rear, and catch the particular round that was in battery. With the magazine out, it's probably empty, but it's always a good shake. It's always a good decision to actually visually verify yourself that the chamber is empty, which it is. The other way to load it, I mean, there's several ways. Obviously, you take your loaded magazine like so, insert your loaded magazine, charge your handle back, release, and the round is in battery. Now, if you're engaging a home invader, yes, most people have to use two hands or both arms to, effectively operate this rifle. But it's the same with the slide action shotgun. I know Mr. ATF said that, well, you have to use two hands with the AR-15. Well, you also have to use two hands with a pump action shotgun. In fact, it's actually due to recoil a lot easier, and usually AR-15s um, are a little bit more compact than shotguns. Not always true, but generally true, because an AR-15 can have a 16-inch barrel before becoming an NFA item, and the shotgun has to have an 18-inch barrel or longer before becoming an NFA item. That's a different topic altogether. But usually, in both cases, yes, you do have to use both hands, but due to the recoil and generally the lighter weight with the AR-15, you're more likely to be able to fire your AR-15 one-handed than you would be your 12-gauge shotgun loaded with double-aught buck. And in fact, if you try to fire a 12-gauge shotgun loaded with double-aught buck one-handed, you're not very bright. Or, you've been doing it for quite some time. You've got your technique down and you're incredibly strong. Now, the next thing you'd have to worry about with the AR-15 and you're engaging in home defense is if you get a basic malfunction. Now, the immediate action for that, you slap the magazine, rack this charging handle, and it cycles another round. If you need to fire follow-up shots because your target is not down in the first round, all you have to do is squeeze the trigger again. And unless, of course, you have a malfunction or you've run out of ammo. And if you have a full 30 rounds, it's going to be less likely for you to run out of ammo. Now we're going to get to unloading. Again, the magazine release. You can lock the bolt to the rear. You can see where the round ejected. Place the charging handle back in position and visually inspect the chamber. Okay, it's empty. We ready to put it up for the day. Send the bolt home. Let the hammer forward. And obviously, when you let the hammer forward, make absolutely sure you have an empty chamber before you do that. I would hope I would not have to explain why. All right. Now, we're going to get on to this slide action shotgun. Now, this particular model is the Maverick 88. It's actually a very inexpensive slide action shotgun. So it's kind of the opposite of the P415 I just displayed to you. But again, nonetheless, we were going to go over the manual arms of this one. This is going to be more likely of what people would have in the way of 12 gauge shotgun with double up buck for defense. So first thing we're going to do, now I have to press the button down right here, get this slide to go back, and the reason why is because the hammer's already set. We'll visually check, make sure there's nothing in the chamber of the shotgun, and all right, from here we can either load a round in directly into the chamber, then push forward and then load the magazine, or we can just simply load the magazine. Then, well, since the hammer's not forward on this one, I got to press the button, rack the slide, and as you can see, the round came out. But there we go. We have it in the chamber. Now, unloading, again, release the round, you pull it forward, drop it again, and then you would remove subsequent rounds from the tube. So, as you can tell, both systems are pretty well common sense. They're not too complicated for any civilian to learn. So now, and by the way, I'm going to let the hammer go forward on this one, as you can see, but I don't have to actually depress the button in this case to rack the slide when the hammer's forward. However, once you've done that, you cannot depress the slide anymore until the hammer goes forward. Yeah, aka you fired the round or let the hammer go forward, depending on whether or not you have an empty chamber or not. And then, you have to actually pull it back after you depress the round. Well, you don't have to, but obviously you have to press the round, the button at this point. I'm not going to re-record this, but you press the button, you pull it back. Slide goes back, round should come out. And if there's any more rounds in the tubular magazine, well, they're not going to get loaded in on this next round, but all you have to do is just press the button again and rack it, and it'll load that subsequent round. And I'm rambling on this one, but back on topic. So from here, you've got a loaded slide action shotgun. You still have to use two hands. You're going to have a little bit more recoil when you fire. You fire. Now, release the trigger. In order to actually fire a follow-up shot if you need to, you have to actually bring the slide all the way back and then forward. And that is how you engage a slide action shotgun. Now, I want to show a little quick demonstration on where you might mess up with this. And this is especially true if you have not trained on this. And this is not a good thing if you're in a life or death situation. Okay, so you've got one or more home invaders. You squeeze, boom. You need to fire another round. In the heat of the moment, you notice what just happened. Round did not come out, and I did not chamber another round. And, squeezing and nothing. But now you got to rack it again. And again, if you don't get it all the way back to the rear, again, you are basically doing the same thing as you would with, say, an AR-15 on a class one malfunction. You have to perform immediate actions. So, as you can see right there, both platforms are not that complicated to operate. So, again, this guy I'm responding to got paid $400 to say one is just too complicated for your average person to use for self defense, but the other one is somehow less complicated. So there's where I'm going to leave that one. So, with that being said, everyone here, you have the comment section. Let me know. I mean, was the slide action shotgun any more simpler to operate than the AR-15? Was the AR-15 so complex that you're better off with a slide action shotgun? Please do tell me if I'm wrong.